Okay, here's my UFC 111 predictions. Takes place this Saturday in Newark, New Jersey. Main event, George St-Pierre versus Dan Hardy for the welterweight title, and Frank Mir versus Shane Carwin for the heavyweight title. Like I always do, preliminary bouts. Going to go through first, non-televised and Spike TV, and then head to the main card. First one I have Ricardo Funch versus Matthew Riddle. I got Funch. Tomasz Drwal versus Palhares. I got Palhares. Jared Hamman versus Rodney Wallace. I got Wallace. Pellegrino versus Fabricio. Camoes. I got Pellegrino. I think I said Fabricio's last name bad. Now to the Spike TV bouts. Ricardo Almeida versus Matt Brown. Even though Brown probably has the advantage on the feet, has a slight advantage to knock out Almeida. I think Almeida's just too good as a grappler. His jiu-jitsu is just too good. I think eventually it's going to get taken to the ground in the second round. I'm going to go with Ricardo Almeida, second round submission over Matt Brown. Nate Diaz versus Rory Markham. I'm going to go with Diaz. I just think all the way around he's a better fighter. On the feet, on the ground, cardio, everything just goes on Nate Diaz's way. He is coming back up to welterweight division, and it's a good test for him, but I just think he's just too superior over Markham, and I see Nate Diaz getting a submission in the first round over Rory Markham. Okay, now to the main bouts. First one I have Jim Miller versus Mark Bocek. I think, to be quite honest, I think Mark Bocek is more well-rounded than Jim Miller. Now stay with me. He has good boxing, underrated jiu-jitsu, great cardio, and a great chin. I mean, this guy has great heart. I mean, this guy doesn't give up. I think he's won his last 3 by submission too, so very underrated. He did very well against in his last loss that he had. It was against Mac Danzig, and he did really well until he got choked out. So I think all the way around his skills are like as one. You know, he has great boxing, he has great jiu-jitsu, obviously, and great cardio. Jim Miller, on the other hand, his boxing needs stand-up. His whatever he is, boxing, kickboxing, stand-up period needs to be improved a lot. And I think he's solely just counting on his wrestling ability, and it's going to win him a few fights. So as soon as he starts fighting tough competition, then you know he's going to start to lose. And Jim Miller, I just needs to improve his stand-up, become more well-rounded. I think he could become a force in the lightweight division. But with this fight in hand, I do see Miller winning this. I see him taking this fight to the ground. I see him staying out of Bocek's submissions. Now that's the key there. Could Bocek submit Jim Miller? I could see it, but I think Jim Miller is smart enough to stay away from the submission games. He's not too bad on the ground either, Jim Miller, jiu-jitsu-wise. He's a great wrestler. I think he stays out of Bocek's submissions, starts ground and pounding. I don't see Miller stopping Bocek. I think Bocek's just too tough. So I got Jim Miller, unanimous decision over Mark Bocek. Next one, John Fitch versus Thiago Alves. They fought previously before, and Fitch did win. Since then, they both fought GSP. Both pretty much had the same outcome. GSP is the man. So what happens here? One, if it stays on the feet, you gotta give it to Alves. His stand-up is just really good, really good. His leg kicks are brutal. He has power in both hands. He could definitely knock out Fitch. But is this fight going to stay standing? I don't think so. I think Fitch is going to take it to the ground. And to be honest, I think Thiago Alves still has no clue what to do when someone takes him down. So with that said, I'm voting for Alves to win this fight. But I think John Fitch is going to get another decision. So I got John Fitch over Thiago Alves, unanimous decision. But won't be surprised if Alves does KO John Fitch if Fitch decides to stand up, which I don't think is happening. Next one, Jake Ellenberger versus Ben Saunders. Huge Ben Saunders fan, and I'm going to go with him on this one. I think Jake Ellenberger has nothing for him. I think Ben Saunders, his clinch is just brutal. Once you get in that clinch, it's very hard to get out, and then his knees and his elbows are just, they hurt. What he did to Marcus Davis in his last fight, no one prior to that ever did that to Davis, including Dan Hardy. And Saunders just destroyed Davis. You know, Marcus Davis' face after that fight was just swollen. He was bleeding. It was just gross. And that was all due to Ben Saunders' clinch. So I think Jake Ellenberger has nothing against Ben Saunders. Maybe wrestling, takedown. But I think Ben Saunders uses his clinch, gets Ellenberger, starts throwing those knees, and it ends in the first round. So I'm going to go Ben Saunders, first round TKO, just because of his clinch game. Just too much for Ellenberger. Ellenberger, sorry. Next one, the co-main event for the interim heavyweight title, Frank Mir versus Shane Carwin. I'm a huge Carwin fan. Okay, now on to the co-main event, Frank Mir versus Shane Carwin for the interim heavyweight title. I want to pick Carwin in this fight, I truly do, and I think what Joe Rogan said in the last event, that if Shane touches you, it's a game over. You're going to get knocked out, and he has so much power in those hands, such a big guy. He wears one size bigger gloves than Brock Lesnar, but the whole thing is his hole in his game is his jiu-jitsu defense. I follow him on Twitter all the time. He's been twittering a lot, mostly because, well, he's trying to help out his sponsors. But before then, you know, that he's been training hard. He's been training at the jiu-jitsu part of the, mixed martial arts. And, I really truly want to pick Carwin in this fight, but my head is saying pick Mir. What Shane Carwin's big gaping hole is his jiu-jitsu defense, and Frank Mir is awesome on the ground jiu-jitsu wise. Stand-up wise, Frank Mir's improved his boxing. I think he's going to use his improved boxing to stay away from Carwin's power, and I think it's going to go to the ground. Even though I want to pick Carwin in this fight, he does have a puncher's chance. He carries power in both his hands, and if he does land on Frank Mir's chin, then it's over. But there's another question. Mir's so concentrated on Brock Lesnar and getting his rematch with Lesnar. Is he overlooking Carwin? If he overlooks Carwin and decides to stand up with Carwin, it could be a short night for Mir. But I think Mir's going to take it to the ground. I think he's going to get a submission. So I'm going to go Frank Mir, first round submission, just because I think Carwin hasn't really improved his submission defense quite yet. So I want Carwin to win, but I'm going to pick Frank Mir, first round submission. Okay, now to the main event, George St-Pierre versus Dan Hardy for the welterweight title. A lot of people are saying, Dan Hardy doesn't deserve this title shot, but my question is to you, who truly does deserve it more over than him? In the beginning, I was an anti-Hardy getting this shot, but there's not many welterweights in the UFC that really can contend to GSP. A lot of people say Josh Koscheck, but he had a shot against GSP. GSP didn't have the title then, but I think pretty much it would end the same way. Yes, Koscheck has improved his fighting, his improved his stand-up, but I think deep down it would end the same way. Might not take as quick, but GSP would own Josh Koscheck in every area of the fight, I think, and there's not many out there. And I think when they put Dan Hardy in this, there was two reasons. One, he's a boxer, he's a stand-up fighter, kickboxer. Matt Serra, that's obviously, when Matt Serra had a puncher's chance, he landed on GSP, so you got to give Hardy that he is going to have a puncher's chance against GSP. And the second one was that, he's from Britain. He's a Brit, and UFC's trying to get fans over there, and why not, put one of your own against the champion. So I think business-wise, this probably was a smart pick to face GSP. But I don't see Dan Hardy winning this. He does have a puncher's chance, but I think GSP has improved since the Serra loss. And I think all around, he's a better fighter than Dan Hardy. I truly think GSP is not going to let this stand up. I think he's going to take Dan Hardy down immediately in the first round, and it's going to continue in the second and then the third. And I think late third round, he's going to get a TKO. The referee's going to stop it. So GSP, third round TKO. Those are my predictions. Enjoy it. See you later. Adios. I'm out.